Welcome to Threes and TDs, a podcast all about the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League. And today we're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow and the Houston joint practices. We're going to talk a little bit about the linebacker core and just preseason in general. Let's get started. So the Panthers today, this is being filmed on Wednesday night. So the Panthers today, what happened was that they traveled to Houston. We saw pictures of them kind of getting out of the bus. And so they're in Houston. They're going to have joint practice. I don't know if it's Thursday or Friday. It might just be Thursday, but they're going to have practice with Houston. And we're going to see a lot of the reps that Houston and Carolina had in the same way that we saw with the Browns. So to me, that's exciting. Like, it's a good thing that we're going to get to see this. So I've said the last couple of videos that I am really excited to see how this wide receiver core is going to line up with their cornerbacks, because their cornerbacks are phenomenal. Like, they have phenomenal cornerbacks. They signed Stingley to that deal. So I want to see what happens with Tedder McMillan, with Jalen Coker. I want to see how Xavier Legette responds to this team, because to me, Xavier's in a really precarious situation. Jalen Coker last preseason game essentially said, "Hey, I'm coming for your job, bro." So I want to see what happens with I just want to see what happens with Xavier and how he's going to match up, and if he's going to say, okay, Jalen, you're not just going to take my job. So I kind of want to see what happens with this team against Houston. The preseason game is on Saturday, and to me, I know a lot of Panthers fans had a lot to say about the fact that, oh my gosh, Cleveland scored 30 unanswered points. I don't care. It's preseason. What I'm wondering is, how do our ones go against their ones? So in joint practices, how do our ones go against their ones? And to me, that's more important than anything else. So that's going to be interesting. That's Houston. I wanted to read, so Mike K had a Q&A from the Charlotte Observer, and I wanted to read this part right here. So the question was about linebacker. So let's kind of listen in and see what Mike says here. The Panthers linebacking core group, particularly their depth defenders, didn't have a great night against the Browns. While Trevin Wallace and Christian have put together a solid summer, the position is probably one of the weaker units on the squad. And then he goes on to say, this was really interesting. The sense here is that the team wants to develop its younger linebackers with Rosaboom, who knows the defense quite well from his time with the Rams, leading the charge. Wallace has shown a terrific ability to blitz, and he's looked better against the run of practice. Bam Martin-Scott is a guy to keep an eye on despite his undrafted rookie status. I want to see. It's clear to me that what Mike K and this team wants to do is that they want Christian to be like the leader of that group. Even though, if you look at the All-22 from that game, Christian looked rough. Christian didn't look great the whole time. But the sense that I get is that they want Christian to be the guy that is the leader while Trevin Wallace gets better. Trevin, everybody, especially on online, they think Trevin's garbage. Trevin has a lot to work on, but Trevin is very, very good. I think he's a developmental guy. If you look at that All-22, the way he was coming around blitzing, part of what was happening last year is that the eye candy and all that stuff, I think it would confuse him. But I think he's playing better. So we'll see. I've said it for a very long time. This linebacking unit is one of the weakest units. and on our team, and Mike K agrees. Like it's bad. Like it's just not good. So yeah, the last thing that I wanted to kind of touch on was this idea that preseason, does it matter? I don't actually think it does. Like I said before, I want to see how our ones go against their ones. Because 2s against 1s or 2s against 2s, like that doesn't matter to me as much. So yeah, I want to see us play solid against Houston, our ones against their ones. But we'll have plenty of coverage tomorrow to cover the practice and how practice was, the joint practice. And but yeah, I'm excited. If y'all have any questions, leave them in comments. I'll do a mailbag episode later this week answering those questions. Y'all have a good one.